The Republican primary for South Carolina's Senate seat now moving to a runoff as no candidate earned above 50%. Incumbent Senator Darlene Graham, who was appointed to fill her late brother Lindsey's term, facing off with Congressman Ralph Norman on August 25th for the runoff election to fill that seat. Joining me now is South Carolina Congressman Ralph Norman. Congressman, well, congratulations. You were with us yesterday morning when the polls opened, and here you are again today. So we thank you for coming back. And, you know, tell us what's next. I mean, are you optimistic that you can win this seat and move to the Senate?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Cheryl. And yeah, I'm as optimistic now as I've ever been. It's exciting. You know, I was listening earlier, the socialist communists that are running in this country, some of them, you know, the one that I think you mentioned had lost. But look, socialism and communism is our battle. That's for the heart and soul of this country. I'm a true conservative, and we're going to lead the fight over the next 2 weeks to tell our story. And it's a new day in this country, and I could just sense it. The people who came out to vote, 329,000 people, voted for conservatism. Yeah, well, and I'm excited about leading the way.
Well, so I want to ask you, so what were the conversations with voters? What were they telling you? What was important to them and the issues that mattered to them? How did you connect with them?
That business person who is struggling with regulations, that single mom who is struggling to make ends meet because of high gas prices, high food prices. All that to say is affordability is something we've got to fight and battle to get all of these down. I think it's happening with President Trump, but it couldn't come quick enough. I think the war's got to be ended, and I think with the Straits of Hormuz, the gas prices have got to come down with opening it up. And but look, it's I see an optimism that maybe hadn't been there before, particularly here in the state, and they're ready for bold leadership and not milquetoast leadership. If there's one issue that people are upset about is the Senate taking a 5-week hiatus and not passing the SAVE Act. It's an abomination of a body that's dysfunctional. I'm going to do what I can to unlock it.
You talked about the SAVE Act yesterday, so that would be one of the I mean, hopefully it'll come to, we know it's going to be voted on when the Senate returns, but if you do fill this seat come next year, what would be on your agenda?
Nuking the filibuster, putting a walking filibuster in, everything that we can do, challenging the parliamentarian on different issues. Chip Roy had brought this up earlier that, you know, the Senate can change its rules. We've got a 53 to 47 majority, and we got to act like we're in the majority. And it's not going to come from playing softball with the socialist communists. It's just not. We face that battle here in South Carolina with their candidate. And, you know, we got our work cut out, but I see an optimism that I saw during the whole 250th anniversary of this country, the celebration that we saw. So I'm excited. It's all optimistic to me.
All right. Well, you mentioned this a moment ago, but, you know, the Democratic Socialists of America were really put to the test last night in Wisconsin, and they lost. DSA-backed Francesca Hong losing the Democratic primary for governor by less than 1%. Just over 3,000 votes actually separated her in Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley, who's now going to face off against Republican Congressman Tom Tiffany. I spoke with your colleague, Carlos Jimenez. You remember he was born in Cuba, and we talked about the rise of these socialist candidates on the program yesterday. Listen to what he told me about that.
What really upsets me is that we got Democrats going to Cuba to try to keep that regime in power, and all they have to do is look around and see what they've done to that country that once was the jewel of the Caribbean. Go to Venezuela, okay, the richest country in South America, okay, full of riches, and what that regime has done to Venezuela. You know, look what happened in the Soviet Union. Look what happened in East Germany. Look all these places where you know where this stuff has been tried and failed. The only thing that's common to them all is that you lose all your freedoms. You don't have freedom of speech, freedom of religion. And by the way, if you criticize the government, you go to jail. And so, you know, that's what really upsets me about, you know, this pack of lies, because that's what it is, a pack of lies.
You know, Congressman, Democrats are also reportedly worried about how these far-left candidates are going to perform in general elections in November. That could be obviously good for your party. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it is, Cheryl. And yes, the far left has taken over the party, and there are different degrees of them. I know from serving in the House, they oppose President Trump on everything. They don't vote for anything that the Republicans vote for, particularly if it's whether it's the Save Act or America First agenda. They oppose it. And as Carlos said, socialism just does not work. I talked to a man who had a function for us who was from Cuba, and he said the squalor, the total waste, the control that they have with those who are in power, it just doesn't work. And we got to be loud, and we have to recruit solid candidates who are going to stand up against them. There is no middle ground with the socialist communists now. It's time to fight, and it couldn't come at a better time in this country.
Well, certainly we know going to be part of the theme of the midterm convention that's going to be held in Dallas with the Republicans next month. So with these midterms, we're less than 90 days away. So here we go. There's a new survey that finds that more Americans now self-identify as either independent or moderate instead of Republican or Democrat. And that's 64% of people between the ages of 18 and 34 and 60% of blue-collar workers, Congressman. So, how do you think Republicans can effectively win over a voting base that has moved really further away from each other? These, kind of these extreme sides on both sides of the aisle, if you will. How do you and your colleagues get to those moderates and those independents?
What I'm seeing, Cheryl, is, the vast number of voters are sick and tired of Republicans campaigning on one issue, less government, less taxes, less regulations, and then governing as Democrats and siding with those who want to destroy this country. Look, we've got an amazing product to sell in entrepreneurship, competition, all the things that made this country great. But we've got our votes have got to back up what we're saying. And so now's the time to put people who will do what they say. And it boils down to one word: freedom. And we got to vote for that, and we got to actually do it in the ballot box and when we vote individually in the House floor. Senate has got to be held accountable, and we cannot let them continue to be the graveyard for good legislation. And that's how you get the trust of the American people back.
Well, Congressman Ralph Norman, that runoff is in 2 weeks, Tuesday, August 25th. We're going to be watching. Please come back. It was great to have you on the program, and congratulations. We're going to be watching, sir.